Welcome to A Matter of Time, a podcast by TAG Heuer. I'm your host, Nicholas Biebeck, Heritage Director at TAG Heuer, and someone with a lifelong affection for fine Swiss watchmaking. In this season, we've been exploring the Carrera and its 60th anniversary, travelling through time to reflect on some of the most iconic models and incredible stories from the model's past. In this episode, we're going to take a deep dive into the relationship between TAG Heuer and Porsche. It's incredible to think that the alliance has only been official since 2021, but for so many people, it feels like something that has been going on for decades. In some ways it has done, in fact more than decades, potentially centuries. Going back to the very beginning of the two families' history, Heuer and Porsche, we can see two young entrepreneurs in their 20s, excited about technology, excited about innovation, and only looking to achieve the very best performance in their respective categories. From Edouard Heuer and the foundation of his namesake brand in 1860, and Ferdinand Porsche, establishing Porsche Company in 1931. A few decades later, we can find similarities between the two families again. Jacques Heuer, the founder's great-great-grandson, took the reins of the company in 1958 at the age of 26 and elevated the Heuer brand. On the other hand, Ferry Porsche took over from his father and founded the Porsche brand in 1948. It's funny when we look at both the Carrera and the 911. They're archetypal examples in their respective spaces, be it sports cars or chronograph wristwatches. It's also amazing how both companies have found their way to the Carrera name. Of course, the very origin is exactly the same. The amazing Carrera Panamericana that we discussed in the first episode of this season, running in Mexico from 1950 to 1954 and proving to be an absolute test of man and machine. It was the exact environment that both Ferry Porsche and Jacques Heuer were determined to drive their products into to see how they could perform under absolute pressures. Of course, Porsche were competing in the Carrera Panamericana during its original running, famously winning their class in 1954. Jacques heard the incredible stories secondhand from the parents of the Rodriguez brothers, but it no doubt moved his heart in exactly the same way that it did for the team in Stuttgart. Porsche chose to use the Carrera name on the racing specification engine that was used to take part in the incredible road race. Jacques, of course, decided to use it on his new great sports watch. There would be a short period in the 1960s where both names would appear alongside each other. Porsche had been using it for the Model 356, the predecessors to the 911. In 1963, the 901, that would form the foundation for the 911 the following year, was introduced. During the same year, Heuer introduced the first Carrera chronograph, also in 1963. But what most people don't realise is that from the beginning, the 911 didn't wear the Carrera name. This didn't happen until 1972, with the arrival of the 2.7 Carrera RS, one of the most iconic and legendary models that Porsche has ever produced. So not only do we have these incredible philosophies tying the brands together, but we have a name. Beyond that, we have this great technological spirit. And another shared moment that is key for the brands is 1969. Heuer famously launched the automatic chronograph powering the new range of Carrera Octavia and Monaco models on the 3rd of March in that year. But in the same year, Porsche also launched one of the most important and significant evolutions in the world of sports car racing, the Model 917. It would prove absolutely dominant at Le Mans, and an amazing moment occurred in 1970, where, being operated by the John Wyer racing team, the Porsche 917s at the 24-hour race were wearing the Gulf livery colours, one of our key partners today. Beyond that, Joe Siffert and Derek Bell, great friends of the brand, were driving the car, and they were also there, amazingly, to teach Steve McQueen to drive this absolute tour de force in automotive engineering for his movie Le Mans. So we have Porsche, we have Heuer, we have Gulf, we have McQueen, we have all of the drivers in this one moment encapsulated together. This is really one of the defining reasons why so many people see the brands as so closely interwoven, even if there was no official relationship at the time. Moving forward another decade into the 1980s, we see the acquisition of Heuer by TAG to create the newly formed TAG Heuer. The iconic logo would appear on the nose of a McLaren Formula One car, driven by a whole host of amazing drivers including Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna. In late 1983, the McLaren Formula One team, backed by the owners of TAG, Mansour and Akram Uja, were looking for a new power plant. It was the arrival of the turbo era. Historically, it was the Ford Cosworth DFV that had been the signature of all of the winning cars in Formula One. But now with the arrival of the turbocharged V6s, they needed a new power plant. Without the expertise to do it themselves, they turned to a company which did, Porsche. Hans Metzger, one of Porsche's lead engineers, had developed the engine. The car would go on to power the legendary McLaren MP4 for drivers such as Niki Lauda and Alain Prost, and would result in a number of consecutive world championships. The 1990s would herald shake-ups for TAG. With changing environments in both the watchmaking industry and the automotive industry, both companies needed organizational restructuring. Another key date for both the manufacturers was 1996. TAG Heuer had relaunched the Carrera at Monza, with Jack in its presence. During the same period, just 1 year later in 1997, Porsche launched the 911 Generation 996. It wasn't just about product, it was about the macro environments taking place in the world at the time, and also how the companies tried to resolve them. It wasn't always easy, but they always had a fundamental leadership style that focused on making the absolute best product for each of their specific disciplines. Luckily, these guiding principles would carry them through to the 2000s, where both companies would see great success. New products, revised marketing strategies, a development and taste of luxury in new markets all helped to improve the financials for both organizations. So it's not surprising that when TAG Heuer was looking for a new automotive partner just a couple of years back, all indications pointed to Porsche. It was always seen as a dream partner for the Maison. But come that fateful day in 2021, where both Frederic Arnault and Detlev von Platen stood on stage in Paris to announce the arrival of the partnership, it was clear that both parties had naturally arrived, together with each other, to create incredible product, incredible partnerships, amazing stories, and to find new ways to engage clients. There's no shortage of watch brands partnering with car brands, but it often feels quite contrived. Whereas TAG Heuer and Porsche, they're two names that feel like they naturally belong together, and it feels totally serendipitous that the two are finally officially attached. At the initial announcement, one core Porsche Carrera product was announced. It was soon followed by limited editions on the same platform, such as the black and yellow, and the new black and orange for 2023. Alongside that, we've had homages to the past, such as the anniversary pieces for the Carrera 2.7 RS, and of course not to forget the connected watch, which made a special debut at the Sale Formula E in 2022, where TAG Heuer is not only the official timekeeping partner for the competition, but is also titled sponsor for Porsche's Formula E Works team. With such a symbiotic relationship now established, it's amazing to think what the future will hold. And there's a few more exciting releases left under the Porsche and Carrera banners for 2023. Thank you for listening to this episode of A Matter of Time. I hope you've enjoyed these stories about the amazing connection between TAG Heuer and the world of motorsport. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and do please leave a review. We're always looking forward to reading your comments. Tune in for the next episode, where we'll be discussing the brand new Carreras that will launch for 2023. With so many amazing watches with so many amazing stories, it's only a matter of time until we get round to them.